All right, and we're looking like we are live now. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's episode of the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is show number 273, the place on Sunday nights for Xbox talk and more from around the game industry. Naturally, I'm your host, Invader. Yeah, I am back tonight, and we've got a great chat in store for all of you. PlayStation recently had their game showcase. We will go over our thoughts on that showing. As well, Microsoft is heading to Tribunal with the UK CMA. We'll give you our thoughts on that matter. And some talk on the Warhammer Skulls Showcase. Yes, all that fun stuff. But before we do all those deep dives, let me introduce tonight's panel. And tonight we have two guests with us, some familiar faces that you've seen here before. First up, we got Grimez making a return. Buddy, how have you been?
What's going on? Just working on a bunch of animations and busy this couple of weeks. But doing all right. How about you guys?
I'm doing all right. That's good that you're keeping busy, though. I mean, hey, I know you got your trade, with the animation and whatnot, and looking forward to some stuff. I know that you've been applying to some jobs as well, and looking forward
In the
to
music, in the music industry and gaming industry at the moment. So
That's
we'll
right.
see what happens.
I know I got my fingers crossed for you, pal, and again, it's great to have you
Cheers.
back on here. But yeah. Next up on deck, we have another familiar face. Dots, how you been?
I'm doing well. Once again, I keep thinking I'm going to be called in on a later date for some RTS news, and then, boom, I get some RTS news in the Warhammer scene, which I was not expecting. And I am ready. I'm ready to talk about a lot of other things. Always happy to be here. Always happy to talk with you guys. Thank you for having me. Let's get this show on the road Sunday night.
Yeah, totally, brother. And as soon as the Skulls event dropped, and I saw some of the games come out, I'm like, you know what? I gotta get Dots on here to nerd out on some Warhammer talk. So we will definitely be talking about that later in the evening. But it's a pleasure to have you here, pal. And moving on to the TXR regulars, starting off with Eric Shockley. Buddy, hey, been a little while. How you been?
Good. Just been finishing some Resident Evil. Been trying to work hard at the that platinum. Almost done with that. One thing that you don't know that you miss, because I was trying to obviously do the platinum on the PS5, but I was doing there's a trophy in there on your way to the platinum it's called Incas for Squids. So basically you have to beat the whole game without saving. But my had a power surge, so rest mode doesn't work. So that kind of restarts your whole PS5. Well, obviously you're using quick resume, not an issue, because all those suspended states, whether or not you unplug your Xbox, they're still there, so you're not screwed on achievements like that. But I was like, man, that's it's like, this really sucks. So it was on a race. I finally did it, but it was like I was just dreading, please just don't get another power surge before I finish this run without saving. But I was like, man, that's where quick resume. It's like you forget how valuable it can be.
Yeah, that's a nightmare situation. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, especially when you're really trying for one of those real stressful trophies and achievements. I am sure quite a few people in the chat and who are listening can relate. So sorry to hear that, bud. But keep at it. Keep at it. Next up on deck, we got the General here. General MLD. How you been?
Hey, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Looking forward to tonight's chat. Kick back, relax. But yeah, recently I just beat Resident Evil 4 remake, and I'm a fan. Like, I played the original on GameCube so many times, and this was just like the perfect remake. Like, between this and Dead Space, like this has been a pretty good year for faithful reimaginings. So yeah, that's me.
All right, very good. Everybody hitting up the Resident Evil lately, except for me. Don't know if I'll ever get to it, but heard good things anyways. Next, we got Crusader. How you been, pal?
I'm good. It's been, beginning of Showcase season, which is my favorite. New Destiny season this week. Been playing some Planet Alana in addition to that. Yeah, good times, good times.
For sure. All right, and to round out the crew, the Centurion. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm also pretty sure the chat's excited that the resident crazy person isn't running the asylum tonight. And to show how crazy I am and that I am literally the gaming bicycle because every game gets a frickin' ride, I have decided to, whatever reason, to enjoy the pain and go down the road of playing Lord of the Rings Gollum.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I thought you were
Actually insane.
big game.
My
like you talked about
condolences.
before.
Yeah.
You know
How
what?
is that?
Huh?
How's that experience?
So here's the funny part. Don't get me wrong. The internet is completely right. If you are wanting to completely base your entire gaming experience off of graphics and other stuff that, I mean, let's face it, I could go back and play a game from the Xbox 360 and yeah, the game looks just like an Xbox 360 title. And that's where it's kind of hilarious that, yeah, they could have done a better job there. But I look beyond that. It's more like there is a good story there. I love the fact that technically, even though it's about Gollum, you got to remember Gollum is actually two people. He's Smeagol and Gollum. So you see him constantly bickering with himself, and it's actually quite entertaining to watch these bickerments. When you play the game, there's situations where you actually you get to make a decision based on, are you Smeagol or are you Gollum? And also there is situations where you have to play as Smeagol and convince Gollum of something, like you have this huge debate with yourself. And there is some stuff there for people that actually are Lord of the Rings fans. Like, I mean, there's a part in the game. What do you mean?
Yeah.
No, well, like today, like you see you're sneaking around the area where they're building the battering ram for when they invade the kingdom of Gondor. The giant wolf head battering ram. You're actually sneaking, you're sneaking around while they're building that thing. So you got to keep in mind this is like, a good time period away from that. It's more like it fills in
9
the gap.
years.
Yeah, it fills in the
It's
gap
9
of
years.
when Gollum and Smeagol go out and start trying to find Bilbo, and they have that whole encounter with the Dark Lord of Mordor, and they get captured by him and tortured, and he basically exposes that Bilbo stole the ring, and that's why the ring wraiths are out there in the Fellowship of the Rings looking for Bilbo in the Shire. This is definitely a little bit of, at least for me, I'm curious on how they're going to develop Gollum's character, because at the end of the day, Gollum is a very twisted individual, but Smeagol, on the other hand, is actually a very kind-hearted individual, and it's really interesting to see how they're going to really approach that story. I'm more of a story fan. That's my big passion for gaming. Gaming has helped me get through some crazy times in my life, and that's where I'm willing to give a game a chance. Don't get me wrong, but that's where this all goes out. My wife knows I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. She knew I was not going to pre-order this game. And of course, she kind of hit me with the question, which kind of made me question myself. Am I going to let other people's opinions affect what I want to do with my life? She even was like, you're a Lord of the Rings fan. You might enjoy that game. And so, yeah, at the very last minute, an hour before the game came out, I pre-ordered the damn game because I did make up my mind that I'm not going to let other people control my gaming experience based on their opinions. I'm going to form my own damn opinion, and I'm just going to give the game a shot.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair, honestly. I'm gonna hold off now, though. Like, I've seen some interesting game clips, like, because I think because you can interact with characters, right?
Yes.
Ish. And
the interactions are literally push a button, and they'll either talk nice to you or just be an ass.
yeah, I've seen like some stuff where like the only way that you can like interact with people is like is if like he has his ass to people, and like if it was the regular way, the prompt wouldn't come up, but like if he has his ass to them, then people can talk to his ass. So
I haven't I haven't encountered that bug. But I mean, there's like definitely some like, I was shocked that I knew something would be up because the game was not at $70, it was at 60, and I'm just like, oh, well, we'll find out what this is about. Whoever is in charge of the film grain for that particular title, they need to have the film grain taken away from them, because oh my god, there is just so much film grain on that, and you can't turn it off. At least I haven't been able to find the setting on console to turn off the film grain, because I mean, literally, there's times it makes the at least the CG or the cutscenes look like sand. I mean, like, I'm not going to sit there and say that this is like, yeah, I would definitely suggest waiting for a sale. I'm the one that wanted to go out on a limb and decide to pre-order the damn game just to see, and I'm enjoying my experience. It's a platformer at heart. It is. I'm still questioning on whether or not this game could be considered AAA. I don't care how much money they spend on it. This is like more like AA.
yes. Well, yeah, I'm curious to what the budget was, but you know, we'll see. I know that they had put out the studio had put out a statement about the game, and people were not taking it too well. But I digress, guys. Like, it's just, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But let's crack out one joke real quick on this whole situation, and this just shows you how frugal the gaming media and the gaming community on social media are. Is because Redfall was supposed to be the worst title of 2023. And then all of a sudden this game comes out and they're like moving that title over to here. So apparently the worst game of any year is just a loosely fit title. It's just more like moving the hatred from one title to the next one, because hate sells.
I mean, this is objectively the worst game that is released this year thus far.
Yeah, to be fair. But
having seen a full playthrough of it, man.
But I will be curious to see how the devs support it going forward. And hey, you know, I like Lord of the Rings too, so I'm kind of curious.
They did put out their apology letter.
They did put out, like, let's also like look at it here though. Like Marvel Midnight Sun, everybody trashed that game because it's not a graphical showpiece. It's not what we wanted. It's not this. It's not that. But now the ship is almost being righted for Midnight Suns, because they have released so much content for that game, and they have shown a dedication to supporting it, that now all of a sudden people are like, all right, you know, I need to check out Midnight Suns, because apparently the developer hasn't just abandoned it. And I really think that speaks words for like any developer that just doesn't just shovel the game out and just hope for the best. If they're going to continue trying to at least fix some things and get it, that's why I'm just saying, maybe this could be something that people would enjoy after the developers had some time in patching it and whatnot. But it's definitely not what people are wanting for a Lord of the Rings title. I would just definitely say that. I mean, after coming off of Shadows of Mordor and Shadow of War, and then all of a sudden this is what you get, you're almost like, all right, well, don't know what to say.
Why don't we just leave it at that for now, and you know, when you go further in the game you can tell us how it is. But interesting first thoughts on it. Guys, before we begin, just a quick reminder to everyone that the show is available on a wide variety of platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, even video platforms like Rumble. We are everywhere. Just search for TXR and you all can certainly find us there. Just again, TXR, you are there. But yes, okay, gentlemen, we've got a lot to cover, as I've said before, so let's move right into our first topic. And a few days ago, PlayStation had their games showcase. It came and went, and we saw gameplay and trailers for games we already knew about, like Spider-Man 2, but also some new ones, some new surprises as well, even some new hardware. I know there's been a lot of chatter about the show, but, you know, let me bring the panel's thoughts in on this one. I'm really curious what everyone has to say. Grimes, my friend, I'll start with you here. What did you think of PlayStation showing? Did you like what you saw? Like, again, any standout games, any disappointments? Like, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, the games weren't the problem. I gave the showcase probably a C or a 6 out of 10. And like I said, I don't think the games were the problems. The games themselves were fine. I just think the pacing and obviously the lack of first-party games were the major issues. If Microsoft was to do that showcase, they'll get destroyed by the media. And yeah, I know most of those games that were shown, for most of us, those games were probably not the games we would play. But, if a parent is watching that showcase, they might want to play some of those games with their kids. So I get why they showed some of those games. Besides, Xbox does the same exact thing. They show all types of games for everyone. So I completely get that. But the pacing was completely wrong. And, but, saying all of that, they did have great games. I'm really loving how Phantom Blade looks. It looks awesome. The character movement looks really cool. And I was also really impressed by Alan Wake 2. And I'm so pumped for that game. I love the first one. I have all the DLCs for the first one. Played so much of it, and I just can't wait. And playing with I think it's gonna have multiple characters, and I'm not surprised about that because if you guys remember Quantum Break, you were able to switch characters. So all those people that were surprised that it's like something new in a Remedy game. It's not really anything new. What else? Helldrivers. Helldrivers to me looks like a Starship Trooper game. Essentially, it basically you're in a planet and killing giant bugs. So that's it. And then the Square games to me were probably the least appealing games, especially the. I'm sure we're all gonna talk about this, but the Splatoon clone doesn't. To me, it doesn't.
Foam stars? You're
Foam
not
stars.
a foam star?
It just doesn't look fun at all. And if you're gonna copy Splatoon, at least add something new to the formula. But that could actually be the NFTs that might be in the game. So maybe they are adding something new to that formula. We'll see. But yeah, I just think you're probably better off playing Splatoon if you're gonna play that in a game like that. And then I wasn't surprised that we didn't see factions. It just there way too many zombie games. First of all, there are way too many zombie games in right now, and I just don't think we need another one. Besides, I think Naughty Dogs were forced to make that game. It's highly unlikely that they went up to the leaders at Sony and told them, I know we've never made a multiplayer game, but we want to make this game. So I'm pretty sure they were forced to make that game. Unfortunately, and it really sucks. I'm sure all of us have heard the news this week about all the layoffs at Naughty Dog, and it really sucks to see all of that. But and I don't think it's all of these talented people are having to suffer because of mismanagement at the top level. But hopefully they do end up releasing something soon, and then that's pretty much it. I just think Sony should focus on other things. They should. That would be stupid not to make a new SOCOM game, or maybe use Bungie to make a new Killzone game. Their fans have been begging for one of those two franchises. to
Well,
come back.
Bungie had their own announcement, so which was interesting. What was it?
But you know,
Marathon. Mhm.
yeah, but on LinkedIn, you know, I see them hiring for new projects all the time. So it seems like they're starting to have a bigger team than ever before. So maybe they can do several projects after Destiny 2. Maybe they can focus. Yeah, I mean, and going back to as you said, Marathon looks really fun. Um, I'm not really sold on the extraction shooter thing. I mean, I did play loads of Division 1. I've got 900 hours on Division 1. I'm sure it's not going to be anything like Division 1. I want to hear all the Destiny guys here talk about what they think about Marathon. But those are pretty much all my thoughts about the PlayStation Showcase. I gave it a C. It wasn't because of the games. It was just the pacing and the lack of first party. But I want to hear what your guys' thoughts right now. So.
All right. Let's see here. You know what? I'll hit up MLD first on this. MLD. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with Grimez' statements here? Like his thoughts? You know, what else do you have to add? I mean, the PlayStation Showcase, I mean, it had some new stuff, and we saw some new gameplay for things we already knew about, but yeah, please tell us your reactions.
Oh yeah, I got thoughts here. So, I mean, for one thing, they do this like Wednesday afternoon. Like, I'm working right now, so while this thing's happening. So I managed to go on break, I tune into some of it, and I tuned to a content creator's live stream of it, right? And I keep seeing the all the responses coming in, and a lot of people are saying this thing is mid. I'm like, really? Like, these guys, the fans have been hyping all these games that were gonna show up, like Metal Gear Solid exclusive, possibly Last of Us Factions, Sony Bend showing something, etc., etc. And while I'm watching on my half-hour break, I'm seeing a lot of multiplats, a lot of indie games. And I'm thinking, okay, I mean, that's good. I mean, Xbox does those things too, but this is not what people were expecting or what people were hyping up. So I'm seeing that. So and then after work, you watch like the aftermath, see all the comments and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think the target market Sony was going for was just like casual gamers, more like they want to capitalize on the third party sales of the big multiplats. It's almost like they knew that they got their fans right where they want them. There's no need to show any first party yet. Right now, their priority is to capitalize on gaining as much third party sales as possible. But you see the reactions online, and of course, fans have a right to be a little bit upset because the showcases are meant to be for them. Like, we're the fans. Like, we're the ones that are like plugged in the news cycle every day. We're the ones that are like really invested. A showcase is always meant to be a first party display first and foremost. Everything else is, yeah, sure, I'm not saying don't show multiplats, don't show indies, but first party should always be the real reason to get excited at these things. So given that, they broke a lot of rules that a lot of PlayStation fans have criticized Xbox for in the past. For example, they showed a lot of CG trailers, like with Marathon and the Haven's new game. So they did that. A lacking release dates for a lot of them games. Even Spider-Man 2 didn't have a firm release date, and people were almost sure they would see one like that. And I think, I think people wanted more single-player AAA games being shown, and they didn't get a lot of that either, because that is the culture that Sony has cultivated for the last 10 plus years. Like, they're all about single-player AAA games. And now they're doing this hard pivot into live service, and it's almost like they expect everyone just to get on board, just because. And that's just not how it's gonna work. You gotta kind of ease people into it, and they just didn't do that. So they could have done with at least one or two single-player upcoming games, but they didn't do that. A lot of no-shows, and even PlayStation fans called them out for it. So definitely a missed opportunity for them. and it only sought to energize Xbox and Xbox fans, because now, like, there's just no way Xbox can have a worse showing, at least first party wise, because there's just so many games that have been revealed, announced, but not really shown yet, and now they're about time to be shown. So it's good to set up for Xbox, a missed opportunity for Sony. So
I'm gonna ask every viewer to collectively knock on wood right now.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I am going to ask every viewer to collectively knock on wood right now.
Okay. I'm
Just
doing it right
did.
now. Okay.
Well, Microsoft is rubbing their hands. I think.
I hope they are. Let's put it that way. I'm 99% sure they are, but there is a part of me that's like, man, I didn't expect Sony to ever do this.
You say that, and as soon as
no.
as soon as Nintendo drops a direct, everyone will start losing their minds, because that's what
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah. I'm holding my chest. I'm like, please, they can't do worse than that, right? Please, please, please.
I mean, I'm pretty confident. I mean, like,
Yeah.
they teased Forza's going to be there. Double Fine, they had like they released like a tweet saying we got like more to come, and there's like a 2 question mark kind of boxes. We have
They did clarify that's about 360 games that are still not on Game Pass that they're trying to get the licensing for.
Well, either way, it'll make for a nice Game Pass announcement. But then you got guaranteed 20 minutes of Starfield, and I think their big cap off was Spider-Man 2. And while I'm sure it's gonna be a great game, a lot of fans were hyped about that. At the same time, it's not really the one more thing kind of game to end it off on, because we already knew about Spider-Man 2, and again, no release date and whatnot. A real good showcase always ends off with a surprise announcement. And what we got was just essentially, quote unquote, more of the same. Because as great as it's going to be, it's another sequel, and I think gamers wanted that extra surprise factor, and they didn't get that. So that's my take. I think it's just a missed opportunity. I think Sony knows what they're doing. Like I said, they're targeting the casuals. They want the lion's share of the third-party game sales. They know they got their fans hooked, line and sinker. They can show their first party whenever they want, and they know it. So that's a bit of a fan disconnect there. Also, again, pushing live service games, whereas say with us, Xbox, we got a lot of live service games already, and with Activision Blizzard, we will inherit even more of them. And Xbox's priority is now more, ironically, single-player AAA games. So we're actually on the same page, like execs and fans. So, as far as games go, I'm most excited for Alan Wake 2. I do like its pivot into more survival horror, so that was nice. Assassin's Creed, going back to its roots, that looked good for me too, because those were my favorite Assassin's Creed games. Assassin's Creed 2, the whole Ezio trilogy, that was my thing. And this looks like a return to form, so I'm happy with that too. Other than that, those are my highlights. Looking forward to those games. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Very interesting comments there, MLD. I appreciate that. I mean, for myself, I thought that PlayStation Showcase was okay. I thought that they covered their bases in a lot of ways. They had some interesting indies. I mean, I know we've seen the Plucky Squire before, but I thought the gameplay for it looked pretty good. I understand the PSVR 2 games. Phantom Blade actually caught my eye as well, but looks like it's coming to Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's kind of vague, the comments on it.
It's announced for PS5 and PC, but they also announced they have no exclusivity agreement in place, so it very easily could come to Xbox. They might not have development kits. I believe they're a Chinese developer. Like, they may not have the Xbox development kits and things like that. Sony has a very good outreach program within China, so I wouldn't be shocked to hear it comes to Xbox after they said that.
Right. I mean, there was some good stuff there. I was just kind of surprised with. I know that they are more into they're trying to push these multiplayer games out. Haven Studios' Fair Game reveal. I was just kind of. It's like a competitive heist game, and it reminded me a lot of Payday, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because Payday's a good game. But I was just kind of surprised that they're making a game like that. Marathon was a pretty cool announcement. Happy to see Bungie pivoting to that. Can't wait to see more of that. But even like, you had the Metal Gear Solid collection, like the remake there, and it's coming to Xbox. So, I mean,
Well, we don't know about the collections.
oh,
I
yeah.
hope we get the collections, but we'll see.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's
What I
right.
understand, the collections are coming to everything. They just have a timed announcement for the PlayStation Store.
Oh, okay.
Like that the store will have it listed first.
So then we'll get Metal Gear Solid 1 for the first time on Xbox then, right?
We should, yes.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
would be Metal Gear. So that collection has Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, Snake.
Yes.
Question, who's making Metal Gear Solid 3? Who's the developer?
The remake is being done by Virtuous.
Virtuous.
What have they made?
They are a very, very large support structure studio, like 1,200 devs. They usually don't make a ton of their own stuff.
Okay.
So this being a remake actually makes a lot of sense because they have a complete structure to go off of.
Okay. All right.
They did do the half-assed upgrade of Outer Worlds that launched recently.
Oh.
Yeah. However, I blame more of that on deadlines and little payment from Private Division than I do on Virtuous.
Right.
All right.
So
Now, I'm a huge Alan Wake fan, and I played the original game. I have the collector's edition, the book, if you will. I played through all the DLC, got the achievements, like all of them. Yes, I found all those coffee containers. Love the game, love the character. Looking forward to it. I got to admit, I am kind of like 50-50 on having a second protagonist there. Like, I'm intrigued, but I just really want the focus to be on Alan and his story. Like, I'm curious about how this all comes together, but I've just never been a fan of like this whole second protagonist thing in games.
Yeah, I wonder what the ratio is myself, because I mean, the game is called Alan Wake, and if it's like a Halo 5 situation where it's like 60% Locke, 40% Chief, people might call that out.
I'm just curious. I mean, again, like Grimes brought up, yes, I mean, you do have that in Quantum Break as well. I'm not saying other games don't do it well. It's just, I don't know, Alan Wake's one of those ones where you just really feel invested in the main characters. That's why I was just very surprised that they went that route for me personally, that they chose that game to do that. But no, I guess, I mean, hey, it's coming out in October, so it's not too far away. So I guess we'll find out soon. I am looking forward to it. Kind of disappointed we're not going to get a physical copy of the game, but it is what it is. We'll see, guys. We'll see. Overall, with the PlayStation Showcase, I thought it was, I just, like, besides some third party, I didn't really see, like, a lot for myself personally. If I had to give it a grade, I hate to say it, I might even give it a 4, like something like that. I was not impressed. Centurion Pal, I know you want to chime in on this. I'm sure you got caught up with the PlayStation Showcase, the games, announcements, etc. Please, what were your thoughts on it?
Oh man, well, we've been chatting about this in the DMs, and you guys already kind of know my position. Yeah, there's a lot of people that say that they were shocked at the heavy input for multiplayer games from first-party studios and the heavy reliance on third-party studios for single-player experiences. And as we all know, last weekend on Sunday, when I gave my thoughts on the up-and-coming show, I already said that this show was probably going to be exactly what it was. And I even remember on Tuesday night, the night before the show came out, I put a folder on my desktop because I keep track of all the videos I'm going to do, and I'm very OCD about it. And I even titled the folder PS Showcase Concerns, and I was just sitting there staring at that folder. I was like, hopefully I get to like rename that folder for something else, like, like they show something completely groundbreaking and we all get excited. But nope, that folder, its title didn't change. I'm not trying to say I'm predicting the future over here. It's more like I'm reading the temperature of the room when it comes to Sony executives and what they want. Like, so regretfully, whatever anybody, everybody has for years been championing Sony for money-hatting single-player exclusives. Well, guess what? That you have spoke to Sony in those decisions. You have shown Sony that no matter what, you're going to get absolutely tickled and excited over money-hatting a single-player exclusive, single-player experience. And so, therefore, Sony is no longer going to focus on letting their first-party studios create what Sony sees as mediocre single-player experiences. For Sony, their company direction, according to, of course, yeah, everybody's like, oh, Herman Hulst said they were going to still create single-player experiences. Yeah, they do want to create single-player experiences, ones that sell 15 to 20 million copies plus. They do not want to waste the resources, the time, or anything else that is required of them to create a title that sells anywhere from 5 to 10 million copies. We saw them completely crap can Pixel Opus. We saw them basically break Ben Studios at the knees when they created Days Gone, and Days Gone came out to very mediocre reception. And yeah, they basically told Ben Studios, you're now going to become a support studio, and you're going to never be able to make a sequel to a game that I feel deserves a sequel. I enjoyed Days Gone, but
Wait,
I'm never going to get it now. Huh?
Wait, they're like support studios.
They're not a support studio.
Now?
They became a support studio for the next title, but now they're allowed to move on to their next thing. But they were in a state of flux.
Wow, okay.
Let's just put it this way. Ben Studio, the director of Days Gone, came out and was very disgruntled in an interview about how Sony treated them on the deliverance of Days Gone. And Ben Studios, for a while there, did not know exactly what project they were going to be able to work on. I think they were a support studio for one title, and now they're actually able to work on another unannounced title that they're getting ready to reveal. And from what I've heard, Ben Studios is very excited about this project. But here's the fun part. It's probably going to be a multiplayer game. Why?
It's an open world single player game. We already know that. Open world AAA single player.
Oh.
You know what? If you want to sit there and defend that, but that's where Herman Hulst said it, that they're working on 10 multiplayer games. The focus
12.
on the focus on Sony Studios. I don't care what you want to try to argue on it. Herman Hulst has come out and said that there is going to be a major focus on multiplayer experiences because they had the ever-living crap scared out of them over Xbox potentially buying Activision. And not to mention, for years, they've been hearing Xbox talk about how they are the king of multiplayer games when it comes to first-party studios. I don't want to have this debate about, blah, 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 Redfall, Halo Infinite. Yes, don't get me wrong. There is some room for improvement, but at the end of the day, Microsoft has made a name for themselves on making better multiplayer experiences on a first-party studio basis than Sony can, which is why Sony became over-reliant on Call of Duty.
Yeah, right.
And so, therefore, they want to kind of close that gap. They want to throw 12 multiplayer games at the wall and see which ones stick and hopefully craft themselves a niche for a multiplayer ecosystem in the PlayStation ecosystem. Whether or not Ben Studios is creating a single player experience, okay, you say it's an RPG, but can we say there might not be a games as a service behind that whole thing? Like, Sony really wants to push games as a service. Herman Hulst has made that very apparent. And that's where I really do feel that this whole showcase went off exactly the way Sony wanted it to. And here's the fun part. I think for years, we've been watching Sony go after Xbox on every showcase. They always let Xbox go first. Why did Sony want to go first this time? Probably because they knew that they were going to basically shock the fans with a total culture change over at PlayStation. And they're probably hoping, praying to God, that somehow Xbox is going to botch the showcase in June. And that's going to take all the heat off of them. because honestly, in my opinion, if Xbox came out with a show like this, all the headlines across the internet would be Xbox is going out of business, the company's burning down, Xbox brand is absolutely done for, like, why buy an Xbox, you know, all the hate that comes along with it.